Do modern women still care about getting engagement rings? My mom certainly thinks so, but she is not on today's episode of BFD. So according to my mother, I need to get married soon. Of course, that's a ways off, but now that I think about it, I've never been much of a traditionalist when it comes to marriage, and I don't really think any of my friends are either. We don't seem to be the generation of diamond rings. Instead, we seem to favor more personal statements. Is it possible that my entire generation is breaking from traditional values and institutions? Here to help me explore this possibility is Jessica Charlton, who is a blogger for Offbeat Bride magazine. Thank you so much for coming in, Jess.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Why do you think that there's less importance on big engagement rings and expensive weddings?
We are the most educated generation so far in the United States. I think we are just looking at everything a little more objectively. There are things that come with wedding culture and just with being a grown-up that are not going to ring true to our generation that did previous ones. And I think every generation rebels against the former.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what is a new generation but just carbon copies of the past one, but just
Right.
with a little, a little bit more progressive ideas.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, and our previous generation we're kind of combating coming off of that 80s yuppie greed.
A little different. You're not going to see a TARDIS wedding when dad's paying for it.
Right.
You're not going to see an Avengers wedding. Having a wedding on a budget is really tough. It's totally doable, but you've got to prioritize. And that's something that I think the recession has really forced all couples into doing. The absence of money is causing us to say, okay, let's get, my cousin to photograph this wedding instead of this photographer. Let's make yarn flowers. Let's send email invites.
And we know weddings can be crazy expensive, but then there's a whole engagement ring debacle, if you will. Did your now husband give you an engagement ring?
I'm a practical person, and I know that I could tell someone I want a car, let's go buy one. I could tell someone I want a house, let's go buy one. I can tell someone I want an education, but I can't tell someone I want a sparkly ring and that it costs the same as all of those other things.
Right.
100 years ago, diamond engagement rings were not the norm.
Right. Right.
100 years ago, no one could afford that anyway.
Yeah.
We can't now. But so we're noticing these trends, and we're thinking, okay, well, are we being marketed to? Is that really necessary? And a lot of us are opting out as a result. My best friend told me, hey, there's a company that makes stones in a lab, and they're really cheap, but they have all the same properties as diamonds. They're just as hard as diamonds. They cut glass. I've tried it. Totally does. And it's like $100 per carat. Oh, like nice. Kind of insane price, right? Yeah. So, and that's what I went with. But the other trends currently for women are no engagement ring, or sapphires are really popular, especially out of Canada. Tattoos. I'm
trying to envision how that proposal goes. Will you marry me?
Baby, I took you to this tattoo parlor to ask you a question.
Will you marry me? So perhaps our generation has been breaking from traditional institutions more than previous ones. It's not necessarily that we don't like fancy things, it's just that we're a product of our time. Instead of spending 3 months of your salary to buy a pretty ring, we could put that money towards something that we really need, like a place to live or an economical car. All right, guys, be sure to tell us whether you agree with our theory in the comments. For BFD, I'm Marisha Ray, and don't forget to subscribe.